pouring in from all parts of the world in the stirring days in which we live, the British people read their papers more than ever. On the way to work, in train, tube and omnibus, the news is being studied and opinions freely formed. Britons are inveterate newspaper readers, in their own homes or in public libraries. The morning survey of events at home and abroad is to them almost a ritual. How is the news collected for all these newspaper readers? For all these men and women, how is the news printed, published and distributed? First go to Fleet Street, for the Fleet Street area is the home of the London press. In newspaper buildings, the day staff still use their pre-war offices above ground. Into these offices pour items of news from all quarters.
You're through?
Thomas speaking.
Hello?
Yes?
Yes? Oh, yes.
Right.
Well, I asked him to get in touch.
At the daily editorial conference, the layout of the paper is arranged and the relative importance of the news items weighed. What might be termed the memory of a newspaper office is the intelligence department. Here, doubtful facts are checked and information gathered on widely different subjects.
Hello? Yes?
Even in wartime, advertising has its part to play. The crossword puzzle has a whole department to itself. Here in the art department, the staff are responsible for the layout and presentation of the illustrations. The words newspaper office conjure up before all else the reporter's room. Here it is, but not at all as it's sometimes represented in the films. Hard work, certainly, but no hustle. From its correspondents all round the globe, and from world-famous news agencies, reports and messages pour in. Meanwhile, the leading article is being discussed by the editor and his leader writer. The sub-editors check and revise all written material as it comes in from reporters and correspondents. All the staff have their minds on their jobs, for on the roof above their spotters keep a lookout for enemy planes. As evening comes, lights flash through the offices to warn the staff that it's blackout time and windows must be darkened. Now the night staff comes on to work, and at this time of day are accommodated below ground. The fire squad makes sure everything is in readiness to deal with incendiary bombs. Always a danger even in peacetime, fire is particularly menacing in a newspaper building where tons of paper are required to produce a single issue of a national newspaper. Besides its fire squad, some papers have their own home guard to protect the building. Also below ground, the leader writer works, and his copy is one of the last items to be finished. The written copy comes to men working at type composing machines. A combination of typewriter and foundry, they cast the metal type in columns, which are then made up into forms or pages. Here are the forms. These have to be hammered flat and then locked into position in their iron frames. Then a proof of the page is printed and carefully checked. All this composing and checking must be finished by 9 o'clock so that the waiting presses can start running at 9:20. And this enables the first edition to catch the first newspaper train at 10 o'clock from Marylebone. No raid yet. Newspapers are not printed direct from type because speed is so essential. Printing from a cylinder is much more rapid. An impression of the pages of type is therefore made on papier mâché, which is trimmed and curved before going to the foundry. Here, for the purpose of rotary printing, a semicircular metal plate is cast of each page for fixing to the cylinders. These plates are arranged in order on the presses and locked into position. Sometimes there's a rush, a minute or two in hand tonight. The presses start up, slowly at first. Then at full speed. The alert. Unmoved by the raid above, the editorial department handles late news items and the presses thunder on. In this room, the wartime signals are controlled, warnings and danger lights for aircraft overhead. Relying on the signals, work in the press room goes on steadily and efficiently as usual. To newspaper men, nothing matters except getting the paper out on time. Outside, the raid is in full blast. In peacetime, the papers used to go upstairs to be dispatched. Now they stay below. The lights dim. Danger overhead. The staff go on quietly. Here below the surface, they're fairly safe. But the van drivers put on their tin helmets. They may have to drive through an inferno to reach the London main line stations. High explosives, incendiaries, shells, fire may lie between them and the stations. And they reach the station, and the newspaper train starts just on time. Back in Fleet Street, the presses are still running and later editions are coming out. Night workers and air raid workers are thankful for the canteen, which provides hot drinks and snacks through a noisy night, until at last the roar of the presses dies down and the all clear rings out. Workers who have been prevented from getting home by the raid sleep peacefully in cellar dormitories. The routine of the office has gone on as usual. So the paper boys get to work as usual.
London had another raid last night.
But raid or no raid, the papers were out on time.